Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 568. Now, usually this would be broadcasted live. However, it's my birthday. And this time I'm taking myself away for a few days to reflect, to be able to kind of recharge and kind of create a deeper, bigger vision. So this is a recording, which obviously you'll be getting on the podcast as well, which will be released at the exact same time. But I wanted to do this birthday message as such. I used to do a lot of those, but it's kind of like my thoughts for you, and the thoughts that I have for you based on my experience with those I work with, from my own life experience. And we all know that 2020 and even this year has been incredibly challenging for many, many people. Even the things that I've been going through recently, like personal life experiences, and I'm sure many of you have done the exact same thing. Have been in a situation where it be finances, where it be work, where it be relationships, even health. A lot of the year has impacted our psychological and also our emotional and physical well-being. So the real message that I want to get across is that you're here, that you are resilient, that despite having gone through many, many things, despite having the external world throw so much at us, you're still here. And that means you are resilient. And in my research, in my learnings from those who have gone through many, many big, significant emotional events in their life, the one characteristic which makes them survive it and then begin to thrive because of it is because deep down they were resilient. They were resilient on a biological level. They are resilient, although it may not feel like it all the time. We've been resilient because we are still here. So even though all this stuff has happened, I want you to remember that and be thankful for yourself here. Have gratitude that you are still here. Not everyone has been able to come through the other side throughout the history, but you did. And it's important to be grateful for what we have, despite those significant emotional events. And to also to reflect on what is it that you are on a deeper level? What are your qualities? What are the things that really stand apart between those events and you? I think deep down inside, we forget about our true traits, our true qualities. And it's important for you to recognize them, to validate them. We're in a world right now where people shout a lot, where there's a lot of noise, and more than ever, we feel like we're more disconnected despite being more connected with everything else than ever before. And I feel like because of those external pressures from society, from world in itself, people in your life, I think sometimes we forget to recognize our true attributes, to recognize not only are we resilient because we're still here, but also to validate the good things about you, the things that you do well. It's easy to negate. It's easy to forget. But there are so many great qualities about us all. And we've got to recognize, and one of the ideas I like to think of is if you have someone who loves you in your life, if you have that great opportunity that you have someone who loves you, or maybe a pet or something, to go on to the more extreme level, but what qualities would they see within you? If you were to like look through their own eyes, what are the qualities they see in you as a person? Really think about that. because we rarely think about our qualities. And I think it's time, especially through the year that we have, yes, have gratitude that we are resilient, we are pushing forward, we're not giving in, we are moving forward, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if there's small steps along the way, those small steps will become your biggest leaps in the future. But also recognize your qualities. Recognize the things that you have done in the world. Recognize the little things that you've done which have made a difference in someone's life. And if you haven't quite done all of that yet, because we are going through stuff, when you start to make an impact, no matter how big or small, to the person down the road, to the person that you see in the street, you don't know what those great ripples will go out to in the future. Sometimes the best way to change our emotional state is to come from a place of giving, because it is one of those things that does make us feel good. So recognize, yes, we are resilient. Yes, we've got to be grateful for what we have, and also grateful for what is coming our way, having been resilient, having gone through the other side, or almost through the other side, but also make an impact to someone today. What can you do to make someone's life that little bit better? Because that will lift you up. It sounds kind of a weird, selfish way that we're doing good, but it does, or good to be able to make us feel better about ourselves. But it is true. When we give, we are actually giving to ourselves at the exact same time. And realize that if you've gone through all this stuff, if you recognize that you've become that resilient person, what can you learn from this experience? Don't think about what it was, what happened to us, but ask yourself, well, what can I learn from this? How can I improve and grow because of it? You see, those dark times are the times where we learn the most ultimately. We don't learn in the good and great times because everything is good and great. The learnings are found in that darkness, when we are low, where we are rock bottom, because those learnings are the things which wake us up. This could be your wake-up call, that you go, look, I'm going through all this stuff, but I'm ready to change. I'm ready to do whatever it takes in my life to improve my finances, to improve my well-being, improve my relationships or my health, my career, my business. I'm going to wake up that this was a situation that was not good, but because of it, I'm going to do better for the next time, or just in general. Because we can start to prepare ourselves by learning from our past experience. When you learn, you grow. When you learn, you actually process those unwarranted, overwhelming emotions such as anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt, frustration, shame. All of those emotions we usually repressed. The only way to release them is to level up and learn. Once you learn, your unconscious mind doesn't have to hold those emotions, hold those resentments. And also, when we start to move ourselves from that victim state, because I don't know about you, but I think many people felt like a victim. Whether it's right or wrong, staying in that role of a victim, and this may push up against some of your boundaries right here, or push up against your values. And you know what? It's okay. I never apologize for that, because it means you've got to ask questions. It means you've got to consider what this means. We may have felt like a victim because of our experience over the last year or two, but we can actually start to go, I am not going to be a victim anymore. I'm going to be the victor of my experience. Rather, and I say this all the time, rather being a product of life, allow life to be a product of what I choose to create. To assume that responsibility. To recognize, to realize that this is your opportunity. In any moment, we have the choice to choose. It may not feel like it, but we do ultimately have that. Sometimes we need to retrain our mind. But with consistency, with discipline, you will create emotional freedom. It's counterintuitive to think about discipline equals freedom, but once you start to get disciplined in your thoughts, if you get disciplined in regulating your experience in the world, regulating your associations to those triggers, you will start to cultivate You'll recognize those thought patterns, you'll recognize those stories that we tell ourselves, and then go, actually, I'm not going to live by that story anymore. I'm not going to live by that pattern. Every day, I'm going to try to interrupt it so my unconscious mind knows that this is not the way to go anymore. I mean, have we been telling ourselves stories this year? I know I've told myself a few stories this year. Now, you might be going, well, Joe, you're the expert in the mind and or not the mind and body, but the mind, the unconscious mind and the conscious mind. Yeah, but I'm still human. Like I said, I've gone through some big life experiences this past year. And I want to recognize my patterns. When I'm starting to feel low, I want to interrupt them. That's the one thing I do have the ability to choose. I've learned over the years that when things happen to me, it's up to me and my ability to respond to it. If I respond poorly by not responding at all and allowing it to be just what it is, I'm just the effect of my experience, then I have no freedom. I lose out on living life because then I'm just a product of it. I don't want to be a product. I want to assume that responsibility for my thoughts. I want to recognize those thought patterns, those stories that I've been telling myself, and I really want you to do the exact same thing. One of the reasons why is because I said stories, because they can be rewritten. Those stories don't have to be a reality. Once you start to recognize those thought patterns, those beliefs, those emotions, those stories, we're actually starting to separate ourselves from that. Because we're now becoming the observer of our thoughts, the observer of those stories, and not the story, not the thought, not the belief. I may have a belief, but the belief isn't who I am, it's a belief that I've learned. I might have a certain frequent amount of thoughts of anxiety of what might happen, but those thoughts aren't me. It's just a thought process that I'm running. I may feel negative emotions like anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt, frustration, and shame, but those emotions aren't me. It's what I'm presently feeling in this present moment. But they will come and go. They will stay if we don't recognize them, if we do nothing about them. Even with the behaviors that you do are not who you are. You're always more than that. If we really separate from those stories, from those beliefs, from those thoughts, from those emotions, from those behaviors, from those stories, you'll start to recognize that you are consciousness living in this world that has the ability to be resilient, but also to adapt, to evolve, and to grow. And that's why I say recognize what's happening, to separate that is not who we are, it's just what we're presently acting out. And that's good news because it means it's not your identity. But then to be able to respond because of it. How can I interrupt that thought pattern? How can I start to process that negative emotion that I feel all the time? Maybe I'm just going to plot out some time in my day to feel the feeling, to let it go. Like, rather than feeling it all the time, I'm just going to consciously spend 10 minutes feeling that emotion and processing it by learning, asking, what can I learn from this? When we come from that place, we are up-leveling our mind. We're not just living unconsciously. We're not just responding to that event, to that situation, as if that's all that there is. We're starting to awaken our mind, awaken our potentiality to know that we can actually level up. We can grow, we can evolve. Part of that resiliency is evolving. You made it through, and now you can learn, and then you can get better for the future. You can use those learnings so when or should something happen in the future, whether it be big, whether it be small, rather than those emotions and thought processes interrupting you and making you go haywire in your mind and your thoughts, you actually have the learnings there. You go into that situation with those learnings to be able to grow because of that. Therefore, those situations are no longer problems. They become challenges. See your life as a sequence of challenges which gives you that opportunity to expand your thoughts, to expand your life experience. That's all it is. And it doesn't have to be the reality. We can stay the same. I mean, look at the Christmas Carol, the Dickens. You could stay the same. However, think about the two paths. Do we live, if we carry on the same that we're doing, or the way that we're acting, the way that they're feeling, how are we going to be in 5 years' time from now? How are you going to look? How are you going to feel? I bet it doesn't feel that good. I bet you won't even look that good. I bet the situation won't be completely sunshine and rainbows. You will just be doing the same old thing. Maybe if we go 10 years into the future remaining the same, 15 years, 20 years, 25, 30 years, we can go down that road if we want. That's the choice. But there is the other choice of what happens if I change today? What if I start to monitor my thoughts as much as I monitor Facebook and other people's tweets and Instagram? What if I pay more attention to my life rather than the social media and other people's lives? Because after all, they're probably feeling insecure as well, and they're just posting all these fake stories, these fake kind of representations. They're not all going to be true because it makes people feel better. But if you live in their world, if you live in that reality, you're becoming more disconnected from yourself. So spend more time with your self-monitoring rather than the external monitoring of other people, other events, which aren't really as much as your business as your own business should be for your mental well-being. When we get to that place, when you start to disconnect from those things, once we start to monitor our time and see what's important to us, what are our values, what are the things which make us shine, what are the things that make us feel good. It doesn't have to be a big and great powerful purpose. It could be something small. It could be even things like reading or hobbies and things like that. Whatever makes you lift up a little bit. Focus on how can I monitor myself by being better. So by being better, it's just a little bit more than you are right now. Don't focus on that big leap. Like I said, the small steps will create the perceived big leaps in your transformation. How can I grow a little bit each and every day? How can I monitor my time a little bit? How can I be more disciplined in my own personal development, which will then create the emotional freedom, the freedom to explore the world, explore the inner world of you, and to really explore a deeper level of happiness. When we begin to monitor, when we begin to realize and recognize our qualities, the things we can be grateful for right now, once we start to assume responsibility rather than just living in the victim mentality, whether it be right and wrong, you may have been a victim, but it's not good to stay the victim. The best way of, even if you like, I want a bit of revenge, well, the best way of revenge is overcoming this, being the victor of that, being better because of it, allowing yourself to show the world that no one's going to hold you down. No one has that right to do so. We can give that right away. We can give other people or events permission to do that, but once we start to assume that responsibility, our values go up and we go, no way am I going to go in that situation again. No way am I going to choose that kind of person in my life. I'm not going to put up with that kind of boss. I'm not going to put up with this experience that I'm going through. Why? Because I'm more than that. I've learned because of that. I'm growing because I'm looking for the future. I'm seeing and monitoring my thoughts and starting to go, this is my strategy. Right now, it's not who I am, but there's what I'm playing out. What is it I'm exactly playing out? So my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs, my behaviors, my story. And then we're going to start to interrupt it. You're going to start to spend more time in your own mind rather viewing other people's minds. In other words, social media and all those things. I'm not saying we should never go on them, but if your time is more spent on them, in the social media world than your own well-being, and you're not happy, you're not where your finances want to be, or your relationship, or your career, your business, then that's one of the biggest things we can start to distance from. We can start to double down on ourselves. We can start to invest in ourselves, whether it be financially, whether it be through that monitoring of your time. The one thing we might not have all the money, but we do have time. But time is always getting shorter for us. By the second, by the moment, by the hour, it's getting less and less and less. So we've got to prioritize our time and go, do you know what? For the rest of my life, I refuse to be just simply an effect of my life. I refuse to have reasons or excuses why I couldn't do that. Take yourself down those different paths of the if you stay the same compared to changing right now, or dedicating yourself so you can change that scenario. Deepen that gap and go, there's no way I'm going down that road. I'm going down this road where my esteem, my well-being, my freedom is so much more important than staying the same. And this may hit you, and it's okay, but if we're not as dedicated to the solution, it means we're more dedicated to staying the same. Because doing nothing is being dedicated to doing nothing. You might not know what to do yet, and that's fine. That's okay. But you've got to be dedicated in looking for that how, to then start to be dedicated to implementing how to change. But ultimately, if we're doing nothing, we're not happy. I mean, if you're happy being unhappy, that's one thing. But if you're unhappy in your unhappiness, if you don't like what you see in your life, if you don't like what's showing up, and we do nothing, it means we are actually dedicated to doing nothing, and therefore dedicated to remaining the same. It's a hard truth to take, but hey, this might propel you. This might make you go, do you know what, Joseph? I'm ready to do something today because I have survived, and now it's my time to thrive. I really, really hope you get value from this. Like I said, I know it's been a hard year. People have gone through a lot worse things than I have, and my year has been pretty hard this year. However, I'm going to refuse to allow it to not be a learning. I'm going to refuse to not allow it to hold me down. I'm going to go and look for the learning. I can be gentle on myself. I can recognize my qualities. I can be grateful for what I have. But I can also monitor my thoughts. I can monitor my experience. I can start to direct it to where I want it to be. I can put my focus rather over there, but over here. And I wonder how many good and great things will be flowing my way. And I want you to have that. So once again, this is a pre-recorded birthday message. It will be my 38th birthday. It has been recorded on the 21st of May, and my birthday is on the 24th. So if you listen to this as and when it comes out, that will be my birthday on the 24th. And other things just to reflect when it comes to discipline. I've been so disciplined in trying to create content for everyone right now. Releasing 4 pieces of content every week, going live 3 times per week. And what I've noticed is not only am I enjoying it more, not only am I feeling better, and we're getting great feedback, and I'd appreciate if you turn those feedbacks into reviews as well so we can help more people, but we've actually reached more people. In January, I think we had 64,000 downloads on the podcast. By the end of this month, we're probably going to be at 180,000 just for the month of May. And that's not to impress you. I always say it's to impress upon you that once you start to get disciplined in something, once you start to really wake up, assume responsibility, and really start to look for the solutions, really monitor, get disciplined, that will create freedom. And you never know, it may just help someone in your life that you don't know yet. Maybe you can be the example to someone. Maybe they see you having made that change and they go, oh my goodness, I can do that because I've seen an example of someone having done it. So be the change you want to see in others, be the change you want to see in the world, like Gandhi said. And ultimately, I always believe in you. I always, I know you're like, Joe, you don't know me. Joseph, you don't know me. But look, I've met so many people, viewers. I've connected with them, especially on the live, and we've communicated via emails over the last, I've been doing this will be in November, my 20th year doing what I do. Okay, so I've been doing it for 19 years, and I think it will be 20 years in November. So I just recognize so much potentiality in people, and if you're listening to this point, it must be you as well. So I hope you enjoyed this birthday message, and all in one take as well, which is pretty awesome. And I look forward to speaking to you very, very soon. Many thanks and goodbye.